Catherine Bailey was having a normal Tuesday at a Brooklyn cafe. Deadline looming, coffee cooling, playlist on repeat, when two men in suits approached and called her Elena Rossi. Before she could correct them, they showed a gun and suggested she come quietly. Turned out she was the spitting image of someone with very dangerous information. Turned out Antonio Greco, Italian mafia boss, needed that information badly. And turned out that when he realized his mistake, he said 5 words that changed everything. Wrong girl, but I'm keeping you anyway. Comment where you're watching from. Catherine Bailey had exactly 47 minutes to finish this logo design before her client started sending passive-aggressive emails. She sat in the corner booth of Rosewood Cafe in Brooklyn, headphones on, third iced coffee of the day half finished, laptop screen glowing with about 17 different versions of the same minimalist restaurant logo. The client wanted modern but timeless, simple but memorable, bold but subtle. Catherine had politely not mentioned that those were contradictory requests. She'd just made 17 versions and let the client feel like they were part of the creative process. Freelance design was mostly managing expectations and drinking coffee. Catherine was excellent at both. She was dragging the text layer 0.3 pixels to the left, because apparently that made all the difference, when someone sat down in the booth seat across from her. Catherine didn't look up. New York was full of people with boundary issues. She'd learned to ignore them. Elena Rossi. Okay, that was weird. Catherine pulled off her headphones. I'm sorry, what? 2 men in dark suits sat across from her, both large, both serious, both looking at her like they knew exactly who she was, which was impossible, because she wasn't whoever they thought she was. Elena Rossi, the first man repeated. His accent was thick, Eastern European maybe. You need to come with us. I think you have the wrong person. My name is Catherine. Catherine Bailey, not Elena. Don't make scene, the second man said. His English was worse. Come quietly. Better for everyone. Catherine's internal alarm system, honed by 24 years of being a woman existing in the world, started screaming. I'm really not who you think I am. I'm a graphic designer from Portland. I just moved here 2 months ago. I don't know anyone named Elena. The first man shifted his jacket slightly, just enough for Catherine to see the gun holstered at his side. Her blood went cold. Now, he said quietly, or we make this difficult. Your choice. Catherine did rapid mental math. Scream and potentially get shot in a cafe full of people. Or go with them. And maybe, possibly, hopefully, convince them they had the wrong person once they were somewhere private. The gun tipped the scales. Okay, she said, voice steadier than she felt. Okay, I'm coming. Just don't hurt anyone here. Smart girl. Catherine closed her laptop with shaking hands, packed it in her bag, stood on legs that felt unsteady. The 2 men flanked her immediately. One on each side, close enough to touch, far enough to look almost normal. They walked her out of the cafe. A black SUV waited at the curb, engine running, tinted windows, license plate obscured. This is how I die, Catherine thought with strange clarity. Kidnapped by mistake in Brooklyn. My mother is going to be so mad. I told her New York was safe. I specifically told her I'd be fine. They put her in the back seat. 1 man on each side of her. The SUV pulled into traffic immediately. Catherine's brain went into crisis mode. Okay. Stay calm. They think you're Elena. Which means they want Elena for something. Which means when they figure out you're not Elena, they'll either let you go or kill you to cover the mistake. 50-50 odds. She'd had worse. Where are we going? She asked, trying to keep her voice level. Quiet. Can I at least know who you work for? Or why you think I'm Elena? Because I'm really, genuinely not. You look exactly like photo we have. Same age, same place, same everything. Okay, but photos can be wrong. People have doppelgangers. I read about this once. Statistically, everyone has like 7 people who look exactly like them somewhere in the world. Maybe I'm just one of Elena's 7? The man on her left actually almost smiled. You talk a lot. Nervous habit. When I'm scared, I either go completely silent or won't shut up. Guess which one I'm doing now? We noticed. They drove for 20 minutes. Catherine tried to track turns, remember streets, catalog landmarks. Got lost after about 5 minutes. Brooklyn became Manhattan became somewhere expensive based on the buildings. The SUV pulled into an underground parking garage. Private, clearly residential, clearly expensive. They took her up a service elevator, 15th floor, down a hallway with 2 doors, into an apartment that screamed money, hardwood floors, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, furniture that was carefully curated minimalist, art on the walls that looked original. And standing by the window, looking out at Manhattan like he owned it, was the most attractive man Catherine had ever seen in real life. Tall, easily 6'2", dark hair styled perfectly, suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, broad shoulders, the kind of face that belonged in Italian fashion magazines. Sharp jaw, straight nose, eyes so dark they were almost black. He turned when they entered, looked at Catherine. His expression was unreadable. Elena Rossi. His voice was deep, smooth, with just enough of an Italian accent to be noticeable. Sit down. Okay, so the kidnapper is unfairly hot, Catherine thought wildly. Is this Stockholm Syndrome already? Can you get Stockholm Syndrome preemptively? Is there a medical term for finding your kidnapper attractive before the actual kidnapping trauma sets in? I'm not Elena, she said aloud. I keep telling them that, but they won't listen. My name is Catherine Bailey. I'm a graphic designer. I just moved here from Portland. I have no idea who Elena is, or why you want her, but I'm not her. The man studied her face. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to check my ID before you do whatever you're planning to do, because I really am not who you think I am. Sit. It wasn't a request. Catherine sat on the leather couch. Her hands were shaking. She gripped her bag to hide it. The man moved closer, stood in front of her. His presence was overwhelming, not threatening exactly, but powerful. The kind of man who was used to being obeyed. Your father stole information, he said. Sensitive information. Information that could destroy multiple families, ruin operations, put people in prison. We know you have it. We know you were planning to take it to the FBI. So here's what's going to happen. You give us the information, we verify it's real, and then we decide if you live. Understand? Catherine's mouth went dry. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there, but mainly, I have no idea what you're talking about. My father is a high school math teacher in Portland, Oregon. He teaches algebra to sophomores. The most sensitive information he has is what's going to be on the midterm. I don't have any information about anything illegal, because I'm a freelance graphic designer who makes logos for small businesses and occasionally does wedding invitations. And I'm definitely not going to the FBI because, again, I don't have any reason to. The man's eyes narrowed. You're saying you're not Elena Rossi. I'm saying my name is Catherine Bailey. Catherine with a C. Bailey like the Irish cream liqueur. Not Rossi, not Elena. I'm the wrong person. Prove it. How? You took my bag, but my wallet's in there. Check my ID, check my phone, check my laptop. It's full of logo drafts and client emails. I can prove I'm exactly who I say I am, which is someone you have absolutely no reason to kidnap. The man gestured to one of his men. Her bag. They brought it over. The man opened Catherine's wallet, pulled out her ID, New York State driver's license. Catherine Bailey, age 24. Portland. Oregon address crossed out, Brooklyn address written in. He stared at it. Looked at the photo. Looked at Catherine. Back to the photo. Back to Catherine. This could be fake. Why would I fake an ID with a different name if I was trying to hide? That's the literal opposite of logical. You could have multiple identities. Do you know how expensive fake IDs are? I looked it up once for a story I was writing. Like $300 minimum for a decent one. I make $40,000 a year before taxes. I can barely afford my real identity, let alone fake ones. One of the men spoke in rapid Italian. Catherine caught maybe 3 words. The man in charge responded, also in Italian, tone sharp. Then he looked at his men. You're certain this is the woman from the cafe, the one we've been tracking? Same physical description, boss. Same age. Same cafe Elena Rossi was known to frequent. Same laptop. Same. Did you confirm it was her before you grabbed her? Silence. Uncomfortable. Telling silence. The man closed his eyes, said something in Italian that was definitely cursing, then looked at Catherine. What's your name? Catherine Bailey. And you moved to New York when? 2 months ago, August 15th. I have a lease agreement on my phone if you want to see it, and approximately 47 client emails about logo revisions. And a text thread with my mother, where she tells me daily that New York is dangerous and I should come home. The man almost smiled. Almost. Stand up. Catherine stood. He walked around her slowly, studying. She fought the urge to fidget. Height? 5'6". Hair color? Brown. Natural if that matters. I can't afford highlights on my budget. Eyes? Green. Also natural. I don't have colored contacts. Age? 24. Birthday's March 3rd if you need my horoscope too. I'm a Pisces. We're supposedly very emotional and artistic. He stopped in front of her. You look exactly like Elena Rossi. Exactly. Same height, same hair, same eyes, same build. How is that possible? Doppelgangers? I told your guys this already. Everyone supposedly has like 7 people who look identical to them. Statistics, face recognition patterns, genetic probability. I read an article about it once. We're just unlucky enough to look like each other and be in the same city. That's not comforting. It's not supposed to be comforting. It's just statistical reality. The universe is weird. Catherine paused. So, since I'm clearly not who you wanted, can I go? I have a deadline in 34 minutes and my client is already going to be annoyed. No. No? You saw our faces. You know we kidnapped you. You could go to the police. I could also not go to police and we all pretend this never happened. I'm very good at pretending things never happened. Entire childhood of uncomfortable family dinners taught me that skill. The man studied her. Then, unexpectedly, laughed. Short, surprised, but genuine. You're very calm for someone who was just kidnapped. I'm internally screaming, like full volume, but externally I'm being strategic because screaming seems counterproductive when you have guns and I have a laptop. Strategic. I contain multitudes. I read that in a poem once, felt applicable to life. He sat in the chair across from the couch, gestured for her to sit back down. Catherine did, slowly. My name is Antonio Greco, he said, and you're correct. You're not who we wanted, which creates a problem. The problem being that I exist and saw your faces. Exactly. But I'm also not a threat. I'm just a designer who was in the wrong cafe at the wrong time. I have no connections to anyone dangerous, no knowledge of anything illegal, and a very strong survival instinct that says keeping my mouth shut is the best policy. That's what you say now. But when you leave, when you're safe, when you realize what happened, you'll talk. To friends, to family, maybe to police. And that becomes a liability. So what are you suggesting? You kill me? That seems excessive for a case of mistaken identity. I'm suggesting you stay here. Until we find the real Elena Rossi. Then we'll decide what to do with you. Catherine's stomach dropped. Stay here. As in prisoner. As in protected guest who happens to not be able to leave. That's literally the definition of prisoner. Semantics. Kind of important semantics when it's my freedom we're discussing. Catherine took a breath. How long are we talking? Days, weeks, months? However long it takes to find Elena and handle the situation. And in the meantime, I just... What? Sit here? Miss my deadlines? Let my clients fire me? Worry my mother into an early grave? You can work from here. You have your laptop. We'll provide internet. You can email your clients, reassure your mother. You just can't leave. This is insane. This is reality. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now you're here. Make the best of it. Catherine wanted to argue, wanted to fight, but she looked at Antonio Greco, at the hard set of his jaw, the absolute certainty in his eyes, the casual way he sat there like he was used to making decisions about people's lives, and realized arguing wouldn't help. Strategic, she reminded herself. Be strategic. Fine, she said. I'll stay, but I have conditions. His eyebrow rose. You're negotiating? I'm managing expectations. You don't want me miserable and difficult. I don't want to be miserable and difficult. So let's establish parameters. I'm listening. 1. I need good internet. My work requires uploads and downloads. I can't have spotty connection. Done. 2. I need to be able to contact my clients and my mother. I won't tell them where I am or what happened, but I need to maintain my professional reputation and keep my mother from calling the police. You can have your phone. Monitored, but functional. 3. I need decent food. I get cranky when I'm hungry, and you really don't want me cranky. Something flickered in his expression. Amusement, maybe. You're threatening me with crankiness? I'm informing you of probable outcomes. When my blood sugar drops, I become irrational and difficult. It's a medical thing. Low blood sugar makes me mean. You're already difficult. This is me being nice. You haven't seen difficult yet. Antonio stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city for a long moment, then turned back to her. You'll stay in this apartment. It's secure. My men will be outside the door at all times. You'll have your own bedroom, full kitchen access, internet, television, books. You can work. You can contact people. But you cannot leave, and you cannot tell anyone where you are. Agree to those terms, and I'll make sure you're comfortable. Refuse, and we have a problem. Clear? Crystal. Good. He moved toward the door. Your bedroom is down the hall. Second door. Bathroom is attached. There's clothes in the closet. Should fit you since you're exactly Elena's size, apparently. One of my men will bring you dinner in an hour. If you need anything, tell the guard. He'll contact me. Wait, you're leaving? I have a business to run and a woman to find. I'll check on you tomorrow. So I'm just alone here, with guards outside? You wanted internet and food. You didn't specify companionship. He left before she could respond. Catherine sat on the expensive leather couch in the expensive apartment where she was being held prisoner by a mafia boss who looked like a model and listened to the door lock behind him. Then she pulled out her laptop, opened it, and stared at the 17 versions of the same logo. Okay, she thought. Okay, this is my life now. Kidnapped by mistake, held by the Italian mafia, stuck in a weirdly nice apartment with a deadline in 30 minutes. She could panic later. Right now, she had a logo to finish. Catherine emailed the client with the final design at 4:47 p.m., 13 minutes before deadline. Then she composed a carefully worded text to her mother. Hey Mom, just FYI. I'm going to be out of touch for a bit, taking on a big project that requires focus. Don't worry if I don't respond right away. Love you. Her mother responded immediately. What kind of project? Are you safe? New York is dangerous, Catherine. I told you this. I'm completely safe. Just busy. Promise I'll check in regularly. Catherine sent it and prayed her mother wouldn't actually call the police. Then she explored her prison. The apartment was beautiful. Hardwood floors, modern furniture, huge windows with views of Manhattan. The kitchen was fully stocked, expensive appliances, actual food in the fridge and pantry. The living room had a massive TV, sound system, bookshelves full of actual books. Her bedroom was down the hall. King bed with white linens. Attached bathroom with marble counters and a shower that looked like it belonged in a spa. The closet did indeed have clothes. Women's clothes in exactly her size. Jeans, sweaters, dresses, even pajamas, all with tags still on. This was a prepared safe house. They'd been planning to bring Elena here. Had stocked it for her. Catherine was just the accidental occupant. She showered, the water pressure was incredible, and changed into borrowed pajama pants and a t-shirt. Sat on the bed. Tried not to think about how insane this was. A knock at the door made her jump. Yes? Dinner, miss. She opened the door. One of the guards from earlier stood there with a takeout bag. Chinese food, he said in accented English. Boss said you need to eat. Didn't know what you like. Got variety. Thank you. He handed her the bag and left without another word. Catherine opened it on the bed. Lo mein, orange chicken, spring rolls, fried rice, Dumplings. Enough food for 3 people. She ate mechanically, not really tasting it. Her brain was still trying to process. Kidnapped. Mistaken identity. Mafia. Antonio Greco. Trapped in an apartment until they found someone named Elena Rossi, who apparently had dangerous information. This was her life now. Catherine finished eating, packed up the leftovers, and crawled into the expensive bed in her expensive prison. She fell asleep thinking about statistical doppelgangers and how the universe had a terrible sense of humor. The next morning, Catherine woke to sunlight streaming through windows she'd forgotten to close the curtains on. For a disoriented moment, she didn't know where she was. Then memory crashed back. Right. Kidnapped. Mafia. Wrong girl. Stuck here. She got up, showered again, might as well take advantage of the amazing water pressure, and dressed in borrowed jeans and a sweater from the closet. Everything fit perfectly. It was deeply weird wearing someone else's clothes that happened to be exactly her size. In the kitchen, she found coffee supplies, made herself a cup, sat at the kitchen island, opened her laptop. 17 new emails, 12 from clients, 3 from her mother, 2 from her landlord asking about next month's rent. Catherine dealt with clients first, responded to revision requests, sent invoices, scheduled calls, maintained her professional facade like everything was normal. Then her mother. Catherine, you said you'd check in regularly. It's been 12 hours, are you okay? I'm fine, Mom, just working. Promise I'm safe. Her mother. I'm worried. This project sounds suspicious. What kind of project makes you unable to talk to your own mother? A demanding one with a difficult client. I promise I'll explain more when I can. Love you. Catherine sent it and felt guilty. But what was she supposed to say? Actually, Mom, I was kidnapped by the Mafia because I look exactly like someone they were trying to find. But don't worry, the kidnapper is hot, and they're feeding me. Totally fine. Yeah, no. She was responding to her landlord when the apartment door opened. Antonio Greco walked in carrying 2 paper cups of coffee and a bag that smelled like pastries. Catherine nearly dropped her laptop. Good morning, he said, like this was completely normal, like he wasn't her captor. I brought breakfast. You brought breakfast. You said you get cranky when you don't eat. Seems wise to prevent that. He set everything on the kitchen island. Coffee, cornetti, like croissants but better, and sfogliatella if you prefer something with ricotta. Catherine stared. You brought me Italian pastries. I'm Italian. What else would I bring? I don't know. Threatening notes, interrogation equipment, not pastries. I can bring those tomorrow if you prefer. No, pastries are good. Pastries are great. She took one of the coffees, sipped. It was perfect, rich, strong, exactly the right temperature. This is really good coffee. Again, Italian. We don't do bad coffee. It's cultural law. Catherine took a cornetto, bit into it. The pastry was flaky, buttery, filled with cream. She made an involuntary sound of appreciation. Antonio smiled. Actually smiled. It transformed his face, softened the hard edges, made him look younger, more human. Good? This is unfairly delicious. Are you trying to Stockholm Syndrome me through carbs? Because it's working. He laughed. Real laugh, not just an amused huff. I'm trying to make your imprisonment more tolerable. There's a difference. Is there, though? Semantics again. Semantics keep being relevant to my situation. They ate in surprisingly comfortable silence. Catherine was hyper-aware of him. The way he moved, the way he watched her when he thought she wasn't looking, the casual elegance in everything he did. Have you found Elena yet? She asked finally. Not yet. She's good at hiding, or someone's helping her hide. And when you find her, we retrieve the information, handle the situation, ensure it doesn't become a larger problem. That's very vague. Intentionally. Are you going to kill her? Antonio set down his coffee, met her eyes. I don't kill people unless absolutely necessary. Violence is inefficient. There are usually better solutions. That's not exactly a no. It's an honest answer, which is more than most people in my position would give you. So if there's a better solution, you'll take it. Yes. What constitutes better? Everyone walking away alive with their interests protected. That's always the goal. Catherine studied him. He seemed sincere, but he was also Mafia. Probably good at seeming sincere when lying. "Why are you being nice to me?" she asked. "The pastries, the coffee, the conversation. You could just keep me locked in here without any of this." "Because you're not my enemy. You're an inconvenience, yes, a complication. But you didn't choose this. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's not a crime worth punishing. Just a crime worth imprisoning me for. Temporarily, until the situation is resolved." "You keep saying that like it makes it better." "Does it? A little? Maybe. I don't know." Catherine took another bite of cornetto. "This is a very weird situation." "Agreed. I should be more scared." "You should. But you're not." "No. And I don't know if that means I'm brave or just really bad at self-preservation." "Maybe both." They finished breakfast. Antonio cleared the plates without being asked, moved around the kitchen with familiar ease. "Do you cook?" Catherine asked. "When I have time. My mother taught me. Said a man who can't feed himself is useless. Smart woman. Terrifying woman. But yes, smart. Do you have siblings?" 2 brothers, both in the family business, and a sister who wisely chose to move to California and become a doctor. She got out. She did. I'm proud of her for it. But you stayed. I'm the oldest. It's expected, and I'm good at what I do. Which is managing problems, solving conflicts, protecting my family's interests. He leaned against the counter. "What about you? Siblings?" "1 brother, younger. He's in Portland, works in tech. We're not super close, but we text sometimes." Catherine paused. "My parents got divorced when I was 16. Dad moved to Seattle. Mom stayed in Portland. I lived with Mom, visited Dad on weekends. Very normal childhood trauma. And now you design logos in New York." "Now I design logos in New York, living the dream, freelance life, irregular income, constant imposter syndrome, all the glamour." "You're good at it." "I'm decent. Good enough to pay rent. Not good enough to be famous. But I like the work, like creating things that help small businesses look professional." "Honest work," says the Mafia boss. "I can appreciate honest work even if mine isn't." Catherine smiled despite herself. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Monster. Scary. The kind of person who kidnaps people without hesitation and doesn't care about their lives." "I did kidnap you without hesitation. But you brought me pastries, and you're talking to me like I'm a person. That's not very monster-like." "Perhaps I'm a complicated monster. Perhaps you're just a person doing morally questionable things for complicated reasons. That's generous. I'm a generous person, also currently captive, so I'm incentivized to see the best in my captor." Antonio smiled again. "Stockholm Syndrome. Probably, or just pragmatic optimism." He checked his watch. Expensive, Catherine noticed. Everything about him was expensive. "I need to go. Meetings, operations, the usual. I'll be back this evening." Do you have to come back? I mean, I'm fine here. You don't need to check on me daily." "I know I don't need to, but I want to." He met her eyes. "You're interesting, Catherine Bailey. And I don't meet interesting people often in my line of work. I'm interesting because I'm the wrong girl. You're interesting because you threatened me with crankiness and made Stockholm Syndrome jokes while being held prisoner. Most people in your situation would be sobbing or trying to escape. I cried last night, for the record, after you left, had a whole breakdown, but I got it out of my system and decided panic was unproductive. Practical. Pisces. We're emotional, but we process quickly." He moved toward the door, paused. "If you need anything, truly need, not just want, tell Marco outside. He'll contact me." Marco being the large Russian-sounding man who brought me Chinese food? Ukrainian. But yes, that's Marco. He seemed nice, for someone guarding a prisoner. He is nice, scarily efficient at his job, but nice. Antonio left. The door locked behind him with a soft click. Catherine sat at the kitchen island, surrounded by expensive pastries and really good coffee, and tried to understand her situation. She was attracted to her kidnapper. Who brought her breakfast? Who talked to her like a human? Who was a literal criminal running criminal operations? This was a disaster, but also kind of exciting, which probably meant she needed therapy. Catherine finished her coffee and opened her laptop. Might as well get some work done. Being kidnapped didn't mean her clients would be more forgiving about deadlines. The days developed a routine. Antonio came every morning around 9 with coffee and Italian pastries. They'd have breakfast together, talking about everything and nothing. Books, movies, his family, her work, philosophical debates about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. He said absolutely not. She argued it was delicious. They agreed to disagree. Then he'd leave for his meetings and operations that Catherine didn't ask about. She'd work, client calls, design revisions, invoices. She'd email her mother daily reassurances. She'd eat lunch from the well-stocked fridge. She'd read books from the shelves. She'd watch cooking shows. In the evenings, Antonio would return, sometimes with dinner, sometimes to cook dinner in the apartment's kitchen. They'd eat together, talk more, occasionally watch TV. It was domestic. Weirdly, unexpectedly domestic. And Catherine was absolutely developing feelings, which was a problem. On day 5, over pasta that Antonio had made from scratch, because apparently he could do that, Catherine said, "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Why are you spending so much time here? With me? You have an entire criminal empire to run. Surely you have better things to do than have dinner with your accidental prisoner." Antonio twirled pasta on his fork. "Honestly? Please. Because you're the most interesting person I've talked to in years. Everyone in my world either fears me or wants something from me. You do neither. You just exist, with your logo deadlines and your cranky warnings and your statistical doppelganger theories. I'm interesting because I'm not scared of you. You should be scared. I'm dangerous. Are you going to hurt me? No. Then why should I be scared? Because I could. Because I have the power to. But you won't. So, the power is irrelevant." Catherine sipped her wine. "You're trying to seem more dangerous than you are, but I've been here 5 days. You've been nothing but kind, courteous. You make me breakfast and dinner. You talk to me like I matter. That's not dangerous. That's just nice." "I've killed people, Catherine." "I assumed. You're in the Mafia, but have you killed innocent people?" "No, never." "Then you have a code, rules, lines you don't cross. That makes you complicated, not dangerous. To me, at least." Antonio set down his fork, looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. "You're very trusting for someone in your situation." "I'm strategic. Trust is a strategy when you're powerless, and I've been watching you. The way you treat your men, the way you talk about your family, the way you apologized when you realized I was the wrong person even though you couldn't let me go. You're not a monster, Antonio. You're just a person making choices in a complicated situation. Those choices include kidnapping you. Temporarily, for legitimate security reasons. I get it. I'm not happy about it, but I understand the logic. You're remarkable. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true." He stood, collected their plates. "Want to watch something? Are you seriously asking me to Netflix and chill with my kidnapper?" "I'm asking if you want to watch television with me. Netflix and chill implies other activities." "Does it? I wouldn't know. I'm imprisoned and thus have limited romantic prospects." Antonio laughed. Actually threw his head back and laughed. "You're impossible. I'm delightful. There's a difference." They ended up watching Barefoot Contessa, Catherine's choice, Antonio's bemused tolerance. Ina Garten made chicken, and Antonio provided running commentary about what his mother would say about the technique. "She's not browning the garlic enough." "It's fine. It's undercooked. Garlic needs to be golden. That's barely tan." "You're a garlic snob." "I'm Italian. It's genetic." Catherine laughed. They were sitting on opposite ends of the couch, but it felt intimate, comfortable, like they'd known each other for years instead of days. During a commercial break, Catherine's phone buzzed. "Client email." She responded quickly. Antonio watched her. How's work? Fine, busy. Everyone needs logos, apparently. I have 3 new inquiries this week. That's good. It is. Except I can't exactly tell them I'm being held prisoner, and might not meet their timeline if my captor doesn't find his actual target soon. Have I actually interfered with your work? No. You've provided excellent Wi-Fi and let me take all my calls. You're an A+ kidnapper in that regard. I'll put that on my resume. Kidnapper. Provides reliable internet access. It's an underrated quality. That night, after Antonio left, and Catherine was alone in her expensive prison, she lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. She was falling for him. Actually, genuinely falling for her kidnapper, which was textbook Stockholm Syndrome, except it didn't feel like that. It felt like she was seeing who Antonio actually was underneath the Mafia exterior. And that person was smart, funny, kind in unexpected ways, surprisingly domestic, and unfairly attractive. This was a disaster, but also kind of wonderful. Catherine fell asleep smiling, which was definitely a sign she needed to reevaluate her life choices. Day 7 brought complications. Antonio arrived for breakfast looking tense. He had coffee but no pastries, just coffee. What's wrong? Catherine asked immediately. We found Elena. She's in Philadelphia, about to meet with FBI. That's good. You found her. You can get the information. Let me go. Everyone wins. It's not that simple. She's protected. FBI has her under surveillance. We can't just grab her off the street. So what are you going to do? Handle it. Carefully. I have people in Philadelphia working on it. He handed her a coffee. But it might take a few more days, maybe a week. And in the meantime, I stay here. Yes. Okay. Antonio looked surprised. Okay? That's it? No argument? Would arguing help? No. Then okay. I'll stay. Keep working. Keep eating your Italian food. Keep watching cooking shows. I've been through worse. Have you? I once had a client make me revise a logo 43 times. 43? This is more pleasant than that. He almost smiled. Your standards are low. My standards are realistic. Catherine sipped the coffee. Still perfect. Will you be able to visit, or are you going to Philadelphia? I'm staying here, managing remotely. My people can handle the field work. So you'll still bring breakfast. If you want me to. I want you to. Something shifted in his expression. Softened. Then I will. They had breakfast together. But the usual easy conversation was strained. Antonio was distracted, clearly thinking about Philadelphia and Elena and whatever plan he was coordinating. After, when he stood to leave, Catherine touched his arm. Hey, be careful. I know you do dangerous things, but be careful anyway. I'm always careful. I mean it. I don't want you getting hurt while trying to fix your Elena problem. Antonio covered her hand with his. I'll be fine. I've been doing this for years. That's not as reassuring as you think it is. He smiled, squeezed her hand. Let go. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Same pastries? Same pastries. Maybe sfogliatella if you're lucky. He left. Catherine sat at the kitchen island and tried not to worry about a man she'd known for 7 days and had absolutely no business caring about. But she did care. That was the problem. That evening, Antonio didn't come back for dinner. Marco appeared instead with takeout. Boss is busy. Sends apologies. We'll see you tomorrow. Catherine thanked him and ate alone. It felt wrong. She'd gotten used to Antonio's presence, his commentary, his ridiculous opinions about garlic and pasta and proper coffee. She texted him, "You okay?" He responded 20 minutes later, "Fine, just coordinating. Situation is delicate. Be safe. Always." She went to bed early, tried to read but couldn't focus, tried to work, but her designs looked terrible. Eventually she just lay there, staring at the ceiling, worrying about a mafia boss who'd kidnapped her by mistake, and somehow become important. Day 8. Antonio arrived on time but looked exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes, suit slightly rumpled, hair less perfect than usual. "You didn't sleep," Catherine said immediately. 4 hours. It's enough. It's not. Sit down. I'll make you coffee. I brought coffee. You brought coffee for me. I'm making coffee for you. Sit. Antonio sat, looked vaguely surprised at being ordered around in his own safe house. Catherine made espresso from the expensive machine, brought it to him, sat beside him at the island instead of across from him. What's happening in Philadelphia? Elena's meeting with FBI today. We're intercepting. Intercepting how? Offering her an alternative. Money, protection, relocation, in exchange for the information and her silence. Will she take it? If she's smart, if she values her life over revenge. What if she's not smart? Then things get complicated. Catherine put her hand over his. You look exhausted. Maybe you should skip breakfast today. Go sleep. I'm fine. You're not. But you're stubborn. Italian thing? Greco thing. My father never showed weakness. Taught me the same. Your father sounds exhausting. Antonio laughed, tired, but real. He was. Brilliant, terrifying, impossible to please, but effective. He built everything we have now. And you maintain it. I try. You do more than try. From what I can tell, you're very good at what you do, even if what you do is morally ambiguous. That's generous. I'm a generous person. We've established this. They sat in comfortable silence. Antonio drank his espresso. Catherine ate a cornetto he'd brought despite claiming he hadn't. Can I ask you something? Antonio said finally. Always. Why aren't you angry? You've been here 8 days, against your will. Most people would be furious, resentful, but you're just here, calm. Why? Catherine thought about it. Because anger wouldn't help. I can't fight you. I can't escape. I can't change the situation. So I adapted. Made the best of it. Found things to appreciate. Good food, good coffee, good company. You consider me good company? You make me laugh. You bring me pastries. You talk to me like I'm intelligent. You cook dinner and debate pizza toppings. That's good company. I also kidnapped you. By mistake. And you've been apologetic about it in your own way. You're trying to make it comfortable. That counts for something. Antonio set down his empty cup, turned to face her fully. You're not what I expected, Catherine Bailey. What did you expect? Someone who looked like Elena. That's it. But you're funny, perceptive, resilient. You make impossible situations bearable. You threatened me with crankiness and made me laugh. That never happens. You never laugh. Not genuinely, not in years. People in my world don't make jokes. They're either afraid of me or trying to use me. But you do neither. Should I be afraid? Probably, but I'm glad you're not. They looked at each other. The kitchen felt smaller. The air felt charged. Catherine's phone buzzed. Client email, deadline reminder. The spell broke. I should let you work, Antonio said, standing. And I need to coordinate with Philadelphia. When will you know? About Elena? Tonight. By midnight it'll be done one way or another. And then I can leave? He hesitated. Is that what you want? Catherine thought about it. About her tiny Brooklyn apartment, her freelance work, her normal life that felt very far away now. I don't know, she admitted. Ask me again when Elena's handled. I will. He left. Catherine sat at the kitchen island, surrounded by expensive coffee and Italian pastries, and tried to understand her own feelings. She should want to leave. Should be counting down the hours until freedom. But she wasn't. That was probably a problem. That night, Catherine stayed up late, pretended to work, but really just waited. At 11:47 p.m., her phone buzzed. Antonio. It's done. Elena accepted our offer. She's leaving the country tomorrow. Information is secured. Catherine. That's good. Is everyone okay? Antonio. Yes. Clean resolution. No violence. Catherine. I'm glad. Antonio. We should talk. Tomorrow. About what happens next. Catherine. Okay. Tomorrow. She set down her phone and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow she'd be free to go. Back to normal life. Back to her apartment and her work and her ordinary existence. But she didn't want ordinary anymore. She wanted breakfast conversations and garlic debates and someone who looked at her like she was interesting instead of inconvenient. She wanted Antonio, which was insane. Completely insane. But it was true. Catherine fell asleep at 2 a.m., no closer to understanding her feelings, but absolutely certain of them. The next morning, Antonio arrived at the usual time with coffee and pastries. But his expression was serious. They sat at the kitchen island like always, but everything felt different. "Elena's gone," he said. "Left this morning. Information is destroyed. Crisis is over. So I can leave." "Yes, whenever you want. I'll have Marco drive you home, or anywhere else you want to go." "Okay." Silence. "You don't sound happy," Antonio observed. "I don't know if I am." "Why not?" Catherine set down her coffee. "Because this has been the weirdest 8 days of my life. I was kidnapped by mistake, held prisoner in a nice apartment, fed Italian food and given good coffee. And I got to know you. Actually know you. And now I'm supposed to just go back to normal life and pretend none of this happened. That was the agreement." "I know, but I don't want to." Antonio went very still. "What do you want?" "I want to know what this is. What we are. Because the last 8 days haven't felt like prisoner and captor. They felt like something else. Something I don't have words for, but definitely isn't normal." "Catherine, I know it's crazy. I know it's probably Stockholm Syndrome. I know I should want to run as far away from you as possible, but I don't. I want to stay. I want more breakfasts and more debates about garlic and more evenings watching cooking shows. I want this. Whatever this is." Antonio moved closer, cupped her face gently. "This is insane." "I know. We've known each other 8 days. I know. I kidnapped you by mistake. I know. You should hate me. I know, but I don't. I think I might be falling in love with you instead, which is the most insane sentence I've ever said out loud, but it's true." Antonio kissed her. Soft at first. Testing. Then deeper when she responded. Her hands in his hair, his arms around her waist. 8 days of tension and chemistry and dancing around each other finally breaking. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Antonio rested his forehead against hers. "I don't want you to leave," he whispered. "Then don't make me. Stay. Not as a prisoner. As whatever we're becoming. Stay with me, Catherine." "That's crazy." "You said you were falling in love with me. That's already crazy. This is just logical next steps." She laughed. "Logical? Sure. That's what this is. Stay, please. I'll explain everything. My business, my family, my life. No more secrets, no more locked doors. Just us figuring this out together." Catherine kissed him again. "Okay. Okay? Okay, I'll stay. But I have conditions." "Of course you do. 1. Honesty, about everything. I don't need details, but I need truth. Done. 2. If this gets too dangerous, too complicated, too dark, I reserve the right to leave. No argument from you. Agreed, but I'll do everything to make sure that never happens. 3. We never tell anyone we met because you kidnapped me by mistake. That's the worst meet cute in history, and I refuse to explain it to people." Antonio laughed. "What do we tell them?" "We met at a cafe." "Which is technically true. You just left out the kidnapping part." "Fair." And 4. No more locked doors. I need to feel like I'm choosing this. Choosing you. Not just accepting my situation. The door was never locked after the first day. I was waiting for you to try it." Catherine blinked. "What?" "I unlocked it on day 2. You never checked. You just assumed you were locked in. You were free to leave any time. You chose to stay. That's very manipulative. That's very strategic. I wanted to see if you'd stay without the lock. You did. I hate that you're smart. No, you don't. No, I don't." They kissed again. Longer this time. More certain. 3 months later, Catherine moved her stuff from her Brooklyn apartment into Antonio's place. Not the safe house, his actual home. A brownstone in Manhattan that was somehow both elegant and comfortable. His family met her with curiosity and acceptance. His mother made her eat too much pasta. His brothers teased Antonio relentlessly about being domesticated. His sister called from California to welcome her. Catherine kept her freelance business, worked from Antonio's home office, took clients and made logos and maintained her independence. But she also learned about his world, the operations, the territories, the complicated network of relationships and obligations that made up his life. She learned where the lines were, what he did and wouldn't do, how he protected his people and his family above everything else. It was complicated, sometimes scary, always interesting, and she loved him. Completely, impossibly. Real love that had nothing to do with Stockholm Syndrome and everything to do with who they were when they were together. One night, over dinner that Antonio had cooked, because he really could cook, Catherine said, "We need a better story about how we met." "Why? The truth is entertaining." "The truth is, you kidnapped me by mistake and then kept me prisoner until I fell in love with you." "That's not a story. That's a crime." "Technically, several crimes." "Not helping." Antonio smiled. "What do we tell people then?" "We met at a cafe. You noticed me. I noticed you. We started talking. Chemistry was immediate. We exchanged numbers, started dating, normal people things. Except I'm not normal people, and you knew that from day one. I knew you were different, interesting, dangerous in an attractive way. Which is true. We're just skipping the kidnapping part. So we're lying. We're editing. There's a difference. You and your semantics. They've served me well so far." Antonio reached across the table, took her hand. "For the record, I regret the kidnapping, but I don't regret keeping you. Because I threatened you with crankiness. Because you're the most interesting person I've ever met. Because you make me laugh. Because you see me, actually see me, and choose to stay anyway. Because I love you. I love you too. Wrong girl and all. Wrong girl, but exactly right." They finished dinner, cleaned up together, settled on the couch with wine and a cooking show. Ina Garten, because Catherine had gotten Antonio addicted. "She's still not browning the garlic enough," he muttered. "It's fine. It's undercooked. You're a snob. I'm Italian. It's genetic." Catherine laughed, kissed him, settled against his side. This was her life now. Dating a mafia boss who kidnapped her by mistake and kept her anyway, who brought her coffee every morning and debated pizza toppings, who introduced her to his family and taught her to make proper pasta sauce, who looked at her like she was the most important person in his complicated, dangerous world. It was insane. It was perfect. And Catherine wouldn't change a single thing. Even the kidnapping part. Especially the kidnapping part. Because sometimes the best love stories start with mistaken identity, with wrong cafe, wrong time, wrong girl, with locked doors that were never actually locked, with strategic thinking and Stockholm Syndrome jokes, with choosing to stay even when you're free to leave. Catherine Bailey was the wrong girl, but she was exactly right. And Antonio Greco, mafia boss and accidental kidnapper, knew it from the moment she threatened him with crankiness. The universe had a weird sense of humor. But sometimes it got things perfectly right. Subscribe for more romance stories where wrong turns lead to right places, where danger meets domestic, where the wrong girl turns out to be exactly perfect. Comment below and tell us your thoughts. See you in the next story.